Huh?
Welcome to the occupation. Here we stand and here we fight. All your fallen heroes.
I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit.
Welcome to the occupation. Hang your collar up inside. Hang your freedom higher.
It's the only way to be sure.
So I just got home from seeing Alita, Battle Angel, and I wanted to get some thoughts down for a video before I stopped thinking about it while it's all fresh in my mind. I watched a bunch of videos of people whose tastes seemed to be similar to mine, who were talking about the movie and raving about it, and so I decided to go see it in the theaters, and I'm really glad I did. I watched it in 3D. I don't think that's a necessary thing to do. You could certainly watch it, but I really did enjoy seeing it in 3D because the world is huge, and that depth of field on movies like this really works for me, and they've, if you're one of those people who says, oh, 3D movies are awful because they always shoot arrows past your head or fly ships into you. That doesn't happen in this movie. I don't recall a single instance where they played 3D tricks on me. Certainly not in the movie. There were a couple in the trailers. But anyway, the movie is not without its flaws, but I think everybody should definitely go see it in the theater. It's an origin story. There's more to the story. Clearly ends on a moderately anticlimactic note because it's got more story to tell. And I really want this movie to make money so that they will make a sequel and I can see the rest of the story. In fact, I'm intrigued enough that even though I knew nothing about Alita Battle Angel when 2019 started, there's a very good chance I'm going to go find the anime and try to watch it because I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the world, and I want to see the broader, deeper story that if the anime is not like Bleach and has, 800,000 episodes that I could explore. So that's probably something I'm going to do. So there are going to be spoilers from the movie. You should probably stop listening if you haven't seen it yet. Just go see it and come back and listen to this later if you're interested in what I have to say. So I had been led to believe that Kean Johnson, who plays Hugo, is the main love interest, was really, really horrible, and that was a little overblown. He was not terrible. He was not good. You could have very easily found a much better actor to play that role. What I did like about his character, though, is that even as he was getting drawn into her, he never became a sop to her. He kept his own agenda. He was doing his own thing. And that's hard to do. It's really difficult nowadays for a movie to not have two characters who are falling in love get subsumed into each other or have one be subsumed into the agenda of the other. In the end, what happens with him is pretty amazing from a storytelling point of view. Even if it wasn't as well executed as I might have liked, most movies won't take the risk they did with his character. And I really appreciate that they did that, and that's all the more reason why we need to see more of this story, because there's definitely some serious motivation for Alita to take the fight to the next level. Structurally, the movie is very interesting because we get a full, complete origin story. There's this whole thing about her she doesn't know who she is or remember anything, but it's laid down in the exposition that she knows stuff, she just doesn't remember. So it doesn't feel unearned when she gets in the first fight, and she's just really good at it. Multiple people recognize what her programming is, and when you're talking about a cyborg who everybody understands was programmed, the idea that that programming would will out when the circumstances warrant is believable. It's not unearned. It's not a case of she's a Mary Sue who can just do whatever she wants to do. She is allowed to fail. She is allowed to have moments of weakness. She is allowed to grow and change. This is a huge issue right now with movies where strong female characters, and you can hear the air quotes, I'm sure, in my voice, aren't allowed to ever have any weaknesses. They're never allowed to be better at one point than they were at another because for somehow people have decided that means they weren't strong to begin with. And that's wrong. It's stupid. Alita has that. Alita becomes a better person and a better character in no small part because she starts almost as a blank slate. I mean, she's very sweet and trusting, and she never really loses that. That moment when she says later, it's all or nothing with me, and Kean Johnson has probably his best scene in the whole movie when he's like, you shouldn't be so trusting. Put that away. Don't do that. Now, that said, it was in the trailers where he says, you're the most human person I've ever met. And that felt from the trailer like one of those things that's going to come as we approach the climax, but it actually happened. It felt like really early in the movie. It had not been earned yet. That's a flaw. That scene where him saying that to her should have come much, much later when they spent more time together. It didn't feel earned yet. Maybe it would have if he'd been a better actor or they'd had more chemistry. There are a few moments where Rosa Salazar's and some other of the supporting characters, there's some minor flaws in how they carry off their dialogue or whatever, but sometimes it seems like actors are given dialogue that's very hard to work with, and I couldn't tell in those handful of scenes. But for the most part, everybody did a really good job. Mahershala Ali is brilliant as always. He was amazing. I would have liked to have seen more of him. I would have liked to have seen more of him, being Vector, rather than being Avatar for the guy up in Zalem. It felt like that she found a replacement battle body a little quickly, but, you know, the movie's got to move along, and we had a little subplot where Ito wasn't going to give it to her, and so she's in this huge fight, and she basically gets torn to shreds and doesn't give up. And then when she says, "Fuck your mercy," I mean, I was like, oh, that was awesome! I just thought that may have been the single best moment in the movie to me, was when she had her fist in his eye and said, "Fuck your mercy." That was amazing. That was earned. And yet, in that fight, she got ripped to shreds because she wasn't ready for that fight. She bit off more than she could chew, and she had to be rescued by 2 men. And the movie let that happen. She would have died. Grishka would have killed her if Ito and Hugo hadn't showed up to keep that from happening. And then, of course, there's no choice. They have to let her have the better battle body, and Ito grows a little bit too and realizes this is how it was supposed to be. You were supposed to have this body, and it's conformed itself to you. There is some very, very stupid commentary out there that there's no valid excuse given for why her body, when she adapts to the new battle body, gets all sexualized when she'd been, you know, like this little barely teenage girl before. But I thought that the line from Ito that, oh, it's conforming to her subconscious image of how she's supposed to look, and we've already seen in one of her memories how she's supposed to look. The idea that this trim little tiny girl has a B cup and that's like overly sexualized is just dumb. If you're out there saying things like that, go fuck yourself. She looks great, and that's what's supposed to happen. It's a visual metaphor for her growing maturity. It makes perfect sense both from the visual metaphor standpoint and from what's been shown on the screen up to that point. And it's not like it's titillating. I mean, she looks good, but she's not made out to be some double D, curvy sex pot. She's just got a mature teenage body, you know. And it's actually really funny when the nurse says, "I think she's older than you thought she was." And we already know she's 300 years old. It's a great little moment, and it makes perfect sense because we've already seen from the scene on the Battle on the Moon that she does have a mature female-shaped body. I mean, it's brief, but we see it, and it makes sense as a visual metaphor for her growing maturity. So just get over yourself. That's how you're going to react to this movie. So the biggest disappointment, of course, was that the movie ends with her not having actually gotten to contend with the real villain. She's been dealing with his proxies the whole time. Because it's an origin story, and from what I understand, Cameron's had this thing in production for a very, very long time. I'm really glad, even though I knew nothing about it a couple months ago, that I was talking to go seeing it in the theater. I want everybody to go do the same. It's a terrific little movie. Don't get your expectations as high as I let mine get, because it's not an amazing movie. It's not going to be the movie of the year. It's not going to contend in any conceivable way with a new Star Wars movie or Avengers Endgame for being the biggest deal in nerddom this year. But it deserves to be in that conversation. It's a terrific little movie. Its biggest flaw is Keenan Johnson. He's not up to the task, but he does have a couple of good moments. The movie takes risks that a lot of movies nowadays won't, that I really appreciate. Letting that kid die as the final moment of her motivation was outstanding. I wish they hadn't shown us her with the sword in the previews, because that kind of spoiled what was going to happen with Zeppin. And Ed Skrein is terrific. I mean, he chews scenery a lot. He's not stealing scenes so much as chewing scenery, but it fits, you know. Ed Skrein's good at that particular kind of shtick, and so he was well cast for the role. In fact, even more than Grishka, his incredibly cyborgized appearance is the most distracting in the movie. These two antagonists of hers are kind of pull you out sometimes. They're so completely insane looking. But knowing that she's going to get the sword from him, because we've seen it in the trailers, did kind of spoil how that was going to go, because there were like 1 or 2 points early in the movie where you could believe that it's possible that he might not just become an antagonist of hers and decide to go after her by proxy. there was a decent chance. And I loved when, I mean, of course it was horrible that Grishka killed the dog, but I loved that this guy with the hellhounds has just been sitting there like, what the fuck ever, I don't care about this. And you see the dog at his lap, and then it comes over and growls at Grishka, and then wisely off screen, he kills the dog, and now that guy's in on it. He's gonna come and help rescue her because fuck that guy who killed the dog. Go see this movie. It's terrific. It's fun. It takes risks that a lot of big budget movies won't take now, and it is well worth your money.